Okay, please don't forget to fill in the attendance form, yeah? So Dr. Yurdi Yasmi has joined us. How are you, Pak Yurdi?
Hi, everyone. I'm fine. Thank you, Dr. Melanie. Thank you. I'm fine. Thank you. Hi to all of you.
Great. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Yurdi Yasmi. Because we have in total 347 participants registered to the summer course, Pak Yurdi. So if they all join your session, can you imagine we will have 347 participants. So that's why we mute everybody to, avoid distraction. So it's only you and me who can speak. But the rule is, if somebody wants to ask you some question or whatever, they will put their name in the chat, and then the organizer, will unmute this person. Okay, is that okay, Dr. Yasmi?
Yes,
Right.
that sounds great. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, now we start. Okay, I will introduce you. So Dr. Yurdi Yasmi is our fourth speaker. Um, his topic today is rice agri-food systems in Southeast Asia and climate change. Dr. Yurdi Yasmi is the regional representative for Southeast Asia at the International Rice Research Institute. Okay, he received the PhD and Master of Science from Wageningen University, the Netherlands, and Bachelor degree from IPB University in Indonesia. Prior to joining IRI, International Rice Research Institute, Dr. Yurdi Yasmi served in various strategic leadership roles at the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, of the United Nations, and also World Agroforestry Center and the Center for People and Forests. He has also been appointed to serve in high-level expert panels by the World Bank, the International Tropical Timber Organization, among others. And Dr. Yurdi Yasmi is a leading natural resource manager, thinker, and scientist. Yeah, he coordinates the IRI activities in the region and leads the development of the overall regional as well as country strategies for IRI research, outreach, training, and capacity strengthening and resource mobilization. Okay, Dr. Yurdi Yasmi, time and place are yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Melanie Bautensorki. It is a great honor for me to be here with all the students. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to all of you, wherever you are. I would like to thank the ESL IPB University for having me in this lecture. It is a nice day here in Phnom Penh, where I am today, and I don't know where you are. I guess most of you are in Asia, or some might be in Europe or in Australia. I hope you have a nice weekend. The idea of this lecture is to give you some overview of the rice agri-food systems in Southeast Asia and the challenges and opportunity presented by the climate change. I will try to share my screen. I hope I'm successful in this. Please confirm, Dr. Lani. I'll do this now. Give me a second here. So can you see my screen? Can you confirm?
Yes. Yes, I can
okay.
see your PowerPoint.
So the title of the... Okay, thank you. So in this lecture, I would like to give I would focus on three main things. The first one, I will be talking about IRI, the International Rice Research Institute. Perhaps some of you have not heard about IRI before, so I will give you a quick overview. In the second part of the lectures, I will talk about the rice agri-food systems. Why are they important? What are the challenges around the rice agri-food systems, and how climate change actually affect rice systems. And then last but not least, building on these challenges, what are the programs that we are doing in Southeast Asia in response to all these issues and challenges? Okay. So IRI stands International Rice Research Institute. It is a member of the One CGIAR. These are the 15 members of the One CGIAR. They are all leading international agriculture research institute. If you look at the second from the left on the top, it's called C4, the Center for International Forestry Research. It is based in Bogor in Indonesia. And then the other 15 centers are based throughout the world. For example, IRI headquarters is in Los Baños in the Philippines. The World Agroforestry Center headquarters is in Nairobi in Kenya. And the IFRI, the International Food Policy Research Institute, is based in Washington, D.C., and so forth. So IRI is part of this, global alliance of the agriculture research globally. Okay, just to give you a little bit of overview of the One CGIAR, okay, it's a coalition of 15 top-class research centers that contributes to an unrivaled mix of knowledge, skills, and research facilities able to respond to emerging development issues. CGIAR is operating in more than 100 countries, 108 countries to be exact. We have local presence in all these countries with offices, with deep knowledge, also researchers, research stations, projects, location, etc. CGIAR is also working with 3,000 more partners globally to actually, work toward, food secure world. CGIAR has more than 50 years of experience. Therefore, it has a strong track record of innovative research and science. Now, about IRI, IRI was established, if you look at the bottom part of this slide, IRI was established in 1960s, originally to respond to this food crisis, where the population was actually, increased significantly, but the staple like rice, maize, corn remained, the productivity was very low. So IRI was part of this green revolution in the 1960s and 1970s, where the yields of rice has to be double, if not triple, to ensure that we can feed the world. At the moment, IRI, beside the headquarters in the Philippines, we have fully fledged country offices in 17 countries and 3 regional offices. One regional office for Southeast Asia is in Bangkok, where I'm supposed to be, but at the moment I'm based in Cambodia. Another regional office is based in South Asia, in New Delhi, and the 3rd regional office of IRI is based in Nairobi in Africa. IRI has more than 1,000 staff globally. It is one of the relatively bigger CG centers compared to others. IRI is also the, the global gene bank for rice varieties. Dr. Melanie, can you confirm that you can still hear me?
Yes, Pak Yurdi, I can hear you, but your video is stuck. Your picture, I mean, yeah, the PPT is all right, but just your video, your video.
Okay, but you can hear my voice, right?
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's okay with the video sometime like this. Okay.
All right.
Now, there are 3 main missions of IRI. The first one is to innovate the rice agri-food systems. What does it mean? IRI wants to be the linchpin of scientific innovation and thought leadership, solving complex problems with deep research. The second mission is to catalyze the rice agri-food systems by creating and supporting a network of catalytic agents to drive widespread adoption of high-level innovation and technologies. Last but not least, IRI also vision to transform the rice agri-food system by engaging global actors to inform policies and establish standards and benchmarks that transform rice agri-food system. Just to inform you, the ERI headquarters in the Philippines is situated within the University of Los Baños, with total areas of 280 hectares that consist of campus, laboratories, and research fields to allow various research to take place. Perhaps important to mention that ERI has built strong relationship with various countries in the region and globally, and also with various stakeholders. The first picture on the top left is actually the visit of the King of Thailand, King Bhumibol Adulyadej, to ERI headquarters to actually show support to the rice research, but also to build ERI's activities in Thailand. The second picture shows the visit of President U Thein Sein of Myanmar to the headquarters, where he inspects the rice gene banks in our campus that host more than 120,000 genes of rice. The bottom left is the visit of the Majesty's Emperor Akihito and Empress Michiko from Japan in 2016, and the other one is the visit of the current Prime Minister of Narendra Modi, if not last year, maybe a couple of years ago. We have also got very high attention from global leaders such as Bill Gates, who spent times at our campus to talk about food security and also about rice agri-food system. Okay, now I'm going to talk the second part of my lecture, which is the rice agri-food system and climate change. Okay. To start with, of course, there is perhaps an important question. Why does rice matter, or why does rice important for us? Okay. Rice remains one of the most important staple globally. It is the most important one, as 4 billion people eat rice on daily basis, or about 56% of the world population. Rice is grown by 144 million families. Most of them are small land holdings of less than hectares. And rice farmers is actually 25% of the world farmers. So 1 out of 4 farmers in this world is actually rice farmers. The annual value of rice is estimated at over $200 billion US, or 13% of the crop values. Unfortunately, rice farmers are also among the poor people globally. 400 million poor people are rice farmers. Rice uses extensive lands, like 10% of the crop lands. Rice also absorb 15% of the world fertilizer and uses a lot of waters. 35% of the world total water is used for irrigation that is dedicated for rice production. So this gives you an overview of why rice is important, and it will continue to be important despite a lot of discourses on changing diet. We expect in the next decades, the demand on rice will continue to increase. Historically, rice has fed the world for millennia, and demand, as I said, will continue to increase. It is also critical to know that rice provides more than 50% of the calorie supplies for Asian people. So you can imagine without rice, Asian people will lose 50% of their calorie. Yeah. And at the same time, and this is what we will discuss in depth, rice also faces increasingly new challenges. And one of the challenges is climate change. Yeah, we will talk about this later. Here you will see that rice is not only about food or about feeding people. It is also culturally very important for many societies throughout East Asia, Southeast Asia, or Asia in general. There are a lot of festivities and cultural activities that are dedicated to rice during the harvesting season, during the weddings, during the planting season, and so forth. So rice is more than just food. It is also about culture. Okay. In Southeast Asia in particular, where we are, rice is life. Yeah. If you look at the national emblems of many countries, including the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, it's actually having rice in it. Rice symbolizes prosperity. Without rice, there is no prosperity. This is what we call, this is why we call rice is very important. In many countries throughout the region, when you ask people, have you eaten? It literally means, have you eaten rice? For example, I don't know whether there are students from Thailand. When we say in Thailand, kin khao, it means to eat rice. Yeah. Likewise, in many other part of the region, when we ask people about eating, it means eating rice. Okay, so I've said in brief the significance and the importance of rice in our society and our culture. Now I would like you to have a look at this graph. This graph presents the rice producing countries in Asia and in East Africa based on their gross domestic product per capita. You can see here that there are four biggest rice producing countries: China, Indonesia, India, and Bangladesh. In terms of the proportion of rice export, three countries are the top major exporters of rice globally: India, Thailand, and Vietnam. What does it mean? Those countries have the rice surplus, so that they also export the rice to Europe, to Africa, and also to United States and the rest of the world. This is why it is often said that rice producing countries in Asia is called the food buffer of other parts of the world. Now, nowadays, we cannot talk rice just in the field or in the rice field. Huh? We have to talk about rice from the big pictures or big perspective. So if you look at this photo is taken from Vietnam. Rice is actually part of the broader landscape systems. It is part of the water system. It is interconnected with housing compounds, with other infrastructures, sometimes dams and irrigation, and it interacts with forests and land systems. So what does it mean? Whatever we do in the rice agri-food system will impact other systems. So it will impact water, it will impact land, it will impact other activities in the landscape. Likewise, whatever we do in the forest, in the water, might impact the rice agri-food system. So I would like you to think big and broad, that rice agri-food systems are not isolated, they are part of the bigger system. So within this context, we will be talking about, the impacts of climate change to the system. Okay. Now, climate change. Climate change has a huge impact on agriculture. Maybe some other lecturers have explained this to you. The agriculture, forestry, and land uses contribute 23% to the total anthropogenic greenhouse gas emission. This means that our activities in these areas produce CO2 emissions. And if you look at the graph here, there are three important greenhouse gases that we should keep in mind. The first one is, of course, the carbon dioxide or CO2. The second one is methane or CH4. And then the third one is the NO2 emission. For rice, what is important is number 2 and number 3, methanes and nitrogen oxides. If you look at the graph from 1961, the emission of both methanes and N2O have increased significantly. So what does it mean? Agriculture, including rice agri-food system, contributes to climate change. Yeah. The impacts or the observed impacts of climate change, among others, are natural disasters like droughts, floodings, changing weather patterns. All of these are impacting agriculture in one way or the other, sometimes in severe ways. Yeah. So keeping the temperatures below 2 degrees Celsius as aspired by the global community is indeed very challenging. The nationally determined contributions, or NDCs, I hope you are familiar with these terms, needs to be more ambitious in order for our Earth to remain below 2 degrees Celsius by the end of the centuries. Okay, so how do the greenhouse gases coming from the rice production system? These are the graph that can explain it briefly. On the left-hand side is the methane emission that is actually produced by the bacteria in an anaerobic condition. Usually this is dominant in the rice flooded systems. As you all know, most of the rice system are flooded, so the waters are kept in the rice for a long time. It usually increased with the organic amendment. These are a little bit of technical term, don't worry about it. The second picture show how the nitrous oxide and O2 produced from the system. This is actually the byproduct from the nitrification or the denitrification process released from the rice agri-food system. Usually it takes place in minor in flooded fields, but it can increase with the nitrogen fertilization. So when we apply nitrogen to the rice field. So Dr. Melanie, you can still hear me at least, so that I don't talk to myself. Can you confirm?
Yes.
Okay,
we can hear you, Pak Yudi.
Very good. Okay. This is another graph that shows the significance of rice production in greenhouse gas emission. If you look at the graph on the left-hand side, these are the comparison of greenhouse gas emission from rice production systems and with the road transport in some countries in Southeast Asia. So you can see there in Cambodia, the emission from rice agri-food system is actually much more than the emission of transportation. Also in Vietnam, the emission from rice production is quite a lot from the rice system compared to the road transport. So why are those emissions quite significant? Because those countries are producing a huge amount of rice, first to feed their population, but second also because rice is a very important agricultural activities in those countries. Secondly, also, it explained that perhaps in those countries, the use of road transport is not as significant as in other countries like in Indonesia. If you look at Indonesia and Malaysia, the emission from road transport are much more significant compared to the rice system. Now, the pie chart here show the total emission, CO2 equivalent emission from the rice system. Globally, it's about 1.5%. This is quite significant if you look this from the global perspective. And below on the right bottom, you see that to produce 1 kilograms of rice, it will emit 2 to 3 kilogram of CO2 emission. This is huge compared to wheat production, but less compared to beef and poultry production. So despite this, it is important for us to remember, the agriculture and livestock activities are actually, the source of greenhouse gas emission. So these are the broad picture of the greenhouse gas emission or climate change aspect of rice. It contributes to climate change, but at the same time, it is also affected by climate change. Climate change affects rice production and quite often in a negative way. Now, I would like to look at water scarcity. Water scarcity is also related heavily to the way we do our agricultures, but also climate change. Yeah? We are now in an era of increasing pressure on waters. If you look at this map, these are the level of water stress globally. The darker the color is, the more water stress people are facing in the region. So you can see that people who live in the sub-Saharan, in the northern part of Africa, Middle East, Afghanistan, Iran, they are facing significantly water stress situation. So this means that they will have a lot of challenges in terms of agriculture, in terms of access to clean waters and so forth. Agriculture uses 70% of all freshwater withdrawals. So this is quite significant. So agriculture include fishery, rice productions, other crops production like wheat, corns, etc. And 40% of all wetlands have been lost in 1970s. Wetland is an important source of fresh waters globally, but their ecosystem has been destroyed or have been altered to other, because of our development. The United Nations estimated that 2 billion people are exposed to water stress. And I hope none of us who are participating in these lectures are exposed to this water stress. Our responsibility is, how do we actually contribute to sustainable use of waters? Because, water stress is being exacerbated by the climate change as well. This graph gives you some idea of the percentage of water withdrawal by sectors in some of the Southeast Asia country. And you see here is that the water uses for agriculture is by far the most significant uses of waters compared to industry or domestic uses. This trend also applies to many other countries, but what I want to say here is that we do not have any more options but to be efficient and sustainable in our water usage. And this is also the mission of ERI in the region. Okay, so what are the other challenges next to the climate change that we are facing in our agriculture system? It is resource degradation. Yeah? Land degradation hotspot, as we speak, cover 29% of global land, where some 3.2 billion people reside. So our soil have been degraded. We have polluted our soil through chemicals and unsustainable management. And our food production is the largest anthropogenic use of land, using 50% of the habitable land globally. Biodiversity loss is alarming, compromising planetary integrity and Earth's capacity to meet human needs. So this really an alarming situation that we are in at the moment. We have lost biodiversity in forest. in wetlands, in many other ecosystems. So I think the sustainable development goals are becoming more important if we look at this resource degradation that we are actually facing at the moment. There are some other challenges that I would like to go relatively quickly. We have demographic change or challenge. We have more people. This means that more demand on rice as well. You look at this chart on the left, these are the population growth in Asia and the Pacific. We will continue to have growth until 2050 and beyond. Another demographic challenge is swelling cities. Cities are getting bigger. The question is, how do we feed people in these cities? So agriculture will remain important to ensure food security for the people who live in cities. There is a big shift in terms of the age structure. Our population are getting older. It means that we have more older people today and in the future because they live longer. Yeah, we live longer because of the improvement in our health system. This also means that it presents another new challenge for our agriculture. What kind of diets that we need to provide to this elderly society? Yeah. Okay, I hope I have given you, enough overview or background on the rice agri-food system and its relationship with climate change and other challenges. Now I will come to the last part of these lectures, and I hope we have some time for discussion. So building on these challenges, we conclude that rice sector needs to change and be part of the solution of all these challenges. So here I would like to share with you briefly what do we do at ERI in Southeast Asia that might be of relevant and interest to you. Yeah. Okay. So in Southeast Asia, we just released our new strategic plan, which we call Going Beyond Rice. I would like to see ERI's engagement in Southeast Asia as not only talking about rice production, but to transition toward equitable, profitable, and environmentally sound rice agri-food systems. When I talk about rice agri-food systems, I'm not only talking about producing rice on the rice field. It includes the whole value chain. It includes business. It includes research in the laboratories. It includes entrepreneurship. It also includes the engagement of technologies and innovation. So we would like to be, a global research centers that is at the forefront of, transforming the traditional rice agri-food system into a modern systems that can respond to various challenges, including climate change, population growth, land degradation, biodiversity loss, and so forth. In order to make impacts, we have identified, some of the most pressing issues in Southeast Asia, and these are some of them. Southeast Asia is still home to 61 million undernourished people, 9% of its population. Despite the successful growth, economic growth of Southeast Asia, it is still a region that needs a lot of issue related to nutrition. 33 million people are severely food insecure in Southeast Asia. Food insecure means that they don't eat for one day or they don't eat enough for one day. In the region, we normally eat 3 times, but these 33 million people, they might only eat once a day. For one day or for a few days, they don't have food. Yeah? So there are still 33 million people of them in our region. The prevalence of stunting in children under 5 is relatively high. It is 1 out of 4 children are stunted in the region. The percentage, and ironically, at the same time, the percentage of overweight children increased from 3.2% in 2000 to 7.7% in 2018. So we have, like what we call, double challenge of nutrition. On the one hand, we have children who have, not sufficient nutrition. On the other hand, we have people or children that are actually overweight or obese. Yeah. Plus, there are many other challenges that underpin all these challenges, like climate change, and now we are talking about COVID-19, that is also impacting our economy significantly. We have so many, multiple and complex challenges as we speak now, that that ERI wants to contribute. ERI does not want to pretend that we can solve all these problems, but we believe we have significant role to play. Okay. So how do we do that? We will build on our success in the past. As I said to you before, ERI has been there for 60 years, and we have made significant impacts in many countries. And I give you some example here. Filipino rice farmers are earning an additional $52 annually using ERI bred rice varieties. So they make more money if they use ERI rice varieties. If you are familiar with rice varieties, maybe you have heard about IR64, IR40. This IR actually indicates ERI. It is produced or discovered by ERI. Indonesia average annual value gains from ERI is equivalent to more than 76 US dollar per hectares across the average rice areas. This is also due to the increased efficiency and productivity that ERI has introduced in Indonesia. The annual value of the gains from ERI is equivalent to 127 US dollars per hectares or more across the average rice area in southern Vietnam in the Mekong Delta. And this is quite important, the next point. Yeah? As a result of the flood shortages in the late 70s, many Cambodian farmers were forced to eat rice seed, and traditional variety were lost. In the early 80s, ERI reintroduced more than 750 traditional Cambodian rice varieties back into the countries. So during this era, also Cambodia went through the Khmer Rouge time. So the rice production was a big failure. People were in famine, so they had to eat, the good quality seed that would have been used otherwise for planting rice. They have lost all these good quality seeds, but thanks to ERI, because ERI is the global gene banks for rice, they keep all this traditional rice variety and reintroduced it to Cambodia in the 1980s. Okay, I will not go through to the rest, but what I'm saying here is that ERI will build their programs in the region based on the success or good practices that has been achieved. We will focus on 5 regional programs here in Southeast Asia. The first one is on climate change mitigation and adaptation, and this is very relevant for our discussion today. I will be very happy to explain this if there are interest from the students. What we will do is we will try to mitigate climate change through best practices in rice agri-food system, but we will also build resilience of the rice agri-food system, the people and the ecosystem and landscape where where rice is being produced. The second program is food security and nutrition, focusing on ensuring people have access to food can afford the food, but at the same time also can have nutritional value from the food that they eat. The third regional program is reducing environmental footprints. In short, this means that we want to ensure that whatever we do in our agriculture system do not do harm to the environment and natures. The fourth program is value change and improve income. We want to develop the rice agri-food system as a system for entrepreneurs, for innovation, to improve the income of the poor rice farmers. Last but not least, our program would also focus on women and youth in the rice agri-food system. We see nowadays that agriculture is not so attractive anymore to young people, but we want to make sure that when we talk about agriculture, it is not only, we should not picture it as, producing rice alone on the rice field. Agriculture involves long value chains from production to consumption, from business to entrepreneurs, so it is a global system. So we want to engage or re-engage women and youth in this system as well. Okay, before I end my presentation, I want to stress that we want to focus on innovation. Agriculture is perhaps a sector that can offer many innovation to take place. At IRIS, we develop various innovation like the use of GIS in our system, the use of drones in productions, the use of high-tech gene editing, etc. in our laboratory. And this will be very important in the future. We also want to engage more in the e-agricultures or e-commerce as we are facing these pandemics. Yeah. Perhaps this is one of the last slides. I would like to mention to the students that IRI also has high interest to engage with youth. The future is for the youth to shape, and we would welcome new researchers with new and fresh ideas. I personally think that young people think differently. We should allow them to flourish within IRI. And I'm happy to share with you that IRI has accommodated hundreds, if not thousands, MSCs and PhDs for their dissertation, internship, and so forth in our headquarters in the Philippines, but also in our various country offices in Asia and in Africa. I thank you for your attention, and I will stop my screen sharing. And then if we have time, we can have a question and answer. So back to you, Dr. Melanie. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yurdiasmi, for insightful presentation about how this rice production it's important to note that the rice production can have effect to climate change and vice versa. Climate change also have effect in negative way to the rice production, and also the challenge how to make rice production is more profitable, but also in the same time also more environmentally sustainable. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. If any one of you wants to raise question, just put your name. All right. Okay. So, Pak Bondan Winarno wants to raise question to Dr. Yurdi. Mas Arif, mungkin Pak Bondan bisa di-unmute dulu.
Terima kasih Bu Mei. Thank you Pak Yurdi for your great presentations. I'm a junior from the EPB University, so it's an honor for me to share or to want to know more about IRI's roles in Southeast Asia. The first is, I'm start from the landscape level. How to deal with those challenges in the context of sustainable agriculture and development. The second question is about the issue of food estate program in Indonesia. How do you see this policy and programs related with the climate change policy at the global and national level in Indonesia? The third is about the key actors in rice agriculture as a farmer. So what is IRI's recommendation or strategies or approach to improve the farmers' bargaining position in food market and value chain systems? Perhaps that's three questions from me. Thank you very much for the opportunities, Bu Mel. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Bondan. Yes, Pak Yurdi. Maybe you want to collect the question first, or want to answer one by one, Pak Yurdi?
I can answer now. Can you see me now?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Pak Bondan Winarno, thank you so much. You have a really important question, so I'm really pleased with this. Yeah. I'll start with the last one first. Yes, you're right. Farmers are the most important actors in the rice agri-food systems. They are mainly small holders, as I said. In Indonesia, their land holdings in general is less than 0.5 hectares. In other countries, their land holdings might be bigger, but in Indonesia, it is very small. Yeah. We have to recognize there are several places in Indonesia that we call rice production provinces. Yeah? All provinces on the island of Java, and then we have South Sumatra, we have South Sulawesi, yeah? and few provinces. The problem of the farmers in Indonesia is they cannot compete with international rice price. Okay, there are several issues related to this in my personal view. So if you produce rice in Thailand or in Vietnam and you sell it to the global market, Vietnam and Thailand will sell rice cheaper than Indonesia. Why? First, because of the infrastructure. Okay, that's why infrastructure is very important. The road is a key infrastructure here. Irrigation is the second one. Storage is the third one. And then harvesting technologies. Food losses. Yeah? In Indonesia, we have a lot of food losses throughout the production system. I'll give you an example. In Thailand, where road infrastructure is excellent, to transport rice from village to the main port will not take as much time as you compare it to what it will take in Indonesia. Same like in Vietnam. So time is of an essence in rice, yeah, because rice is a product that need to access market quickly. So if you have several stops, or if you take more time from your, by transporting rice, you increase the cost. So it does not make it more competitive anymore. Secondly, the port, the big port in Indonesia is Tanjung Priok, right? So if you want to export, then you have to go to the main port, because you cannot just go from smaller port directly overseas. That's why we don't export rice. First, we don't have enough. Second, our rice price is not competitive. And that's why we import rice, because buying rice is cheaper. Yeah. But I don't want to go into the political discussion why we should not continue to import rice. Yeah? We should, in my view, be rice self-sufficient. This is about the national security issue. So the government, as you said, at the moment are developing food estates, including in Papua. Yeah. What is my view about this food estate? I would like to say that I think it is important to be a food sufficient country, particularly in the COVID-19. Yeah. What we have learned from the COVID-19 is that the logistical aspect of a food system have been disrupted. Yeah? So this means that import of products or agriculture products have been affected by COVID-19. There are delays, there are increasing costs, there are more time to get your products from Thailand or from other countries, or even within one countries because of checkpoints. So what will happen in the future is that more countries will focus on smaller and shorter value chains agriculture products. Many countries will strive for food self-sufficiency, and this is what the food estates are actually the main objective, the way I understand it from the government of Indonesia. I think this is a good idea, but I have a note here. Food estates in Indonesia should be developed in a sustainable ways. Yeah, yes, food production is important, but sustainability of the sensitive environments is not less important. Yeah. So the question here is, where do we produce the food estates? Are these in the areas that are suitable for such production? Have we done feasibility study enough? So that these are the first set of questions. The second question is, do we have enough labor and technologies for this food estate? Yeah? It will be very challenging if you do food estate in the middle of, I don't know, in a place where there is not enough farmers. So then you have to transport farmers, or where you have no access, good access to that location, then how would you actually bring the produce? Yeah. The third element is technologies. How can we maximize the use of technology in this food estate to produce, high quality food with, low production cost? Okay. Now coming to your first question, Pak Bondan, how to deal with all these challenges at landscape level? Okay. In many countries, if not all, not only Indonesia, there are sectoral approach. Line ministries, normally they have their own programs. Sometimes they overlaps, or they are not incongruent, or they are in conflict with other ministries. So landscape approach is actually allow for a coordination across landscape. Yeah? If you remember the picture that I presented, how the rice is situated within a broader landscape. So in that landscape, there are at least a couple of ministries there. Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Forestry, and maybe Ministry of Fishery. Yeah. So the idea of a landscape approach is a coordination at a landscape level, not at the sectoral level. So if you address climate change, you really need to work at the landscape level, because all the sectors, they contribute to climate change, to greenhouse gas emission. That is one. And secondly, all these sectors also are affected by climate change at the same time. So the idea of coordination is a joint planning. Joint plannings require joint investment. When you plan together, if you know how to be efficient, right? So financial aspect of the planning is also important there. I hope I have addressed this question, Dr. Melanie, but I'm happy to clarify more or take more questions.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I cannot open the chat box, so I need somebody to read it for me. Yeah.
Yeah. No worries. I will pick the participant who can ask Dr. Yurdi asked me some question. I found this question from Diva Fadil Srianto is quite interesting. Diva, are you still here? Mas Arif,
Yes,
maybe
miss.
we can, yeah, okay, great.
But I'm sorry, due to there is rain in my house, maybe the signal is not too stable. But I want to ask some questions, sir. So the first one is, if rice are important for 56% population of the world, why there are only 10% land used for this? Is it enough to maintain the food supply? Since you've mentioned that there are 33 million people that facing food insecurities. And the second one is, do you know why government more interest in palm oil rather than rice? I think that's all from me. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Diva.
Okay, very good question. Diva, are you from IPB University also? Okay, good. I'm impressed with this question. Okay, 4 billion people eat rice on daily basis, including us. Um, I have lived overseas like 20 years, almost the same with Dr. Melanie maybe, but I still eat rice. Without rice, it doesn't mean eating for me. Well, maybe I can reduce it to twice now, but I do need rice. Okay, the 10% of, I think that, sorry about the misunderstanding, Diva. What I mean by 10% is that 10% of the whole production system in agriculture is rice. It does not mean that rice area is 10% of the global land areas globally. This is not what I mean. It is 144 million hectares of rice areas globally. This is a small amount of land for rice production. That's why rice scientists are struggling to increase productivity per hectares. I give you an example. In Indonesia, in the 1970s, the rice productivity was about 2.4 tons per hectares. And you know how many tons per hectares that Indonesia can produce now on average? It is 5.6 tons per hectare. So there have been like almost triples the productivity. And these productivity gains could only be possible because of research, because of the invention of new varieties, because of ability of rice systems to produce in a difficult landscape. You might also look at the countries like Vietnam and Indonesia. Let's compare this, just by way of comparison. Why Vietnam would be able to produce more rice, more than what their population needs, than in Indonesia? Well, Indonesia is a very huge country. We have a lot of land, right? The problem is rice production requires waters. I explained this to you before, right? Vietnam is actually having huge delta region. Delta means, the Mekong region, where they have constant flow of water that would allow irrigation system to develop, right? Indonesia is mountainous region. So you don't have so much opportunity or suitability for rice production. We don't have so much deltas compared to Irrawaddy in Myanmar, Mekong, Vietnam, and Cambodia. Yeah, so there are more challenge for Indonesia in terms of developing the new rice, system. So that's why we don't. As we speak now, Indonesia produces just enough rice, 31 million tons per year, and we need 31 million tons. Yeah, so we are sufficient, but we are still importing for our stock, just in case if there are failures in the harvest. Now, why palm oils more attractive than rice? I think this is a very simple economics formula. When the economic return is more, people will shift to this production. And Indonesia is the largest oil palm producing countries globally at the moment. In Cambodia, I give you an example. 1 hectare of rice field would produce between 400 to 900 US dollars profit. Yeah, 1 hectare. Now, if you put fish in 1 hectare, it will produce more than 2,000 US dollar per hectare. If you put oil palm per hectare, it might produce more. Yeah. So this is just an economic, a reality that we are facing. I know palm oil is a sensitive issue, not only in Indonesia but globally, but it is an important economic sector of Indonesia. In reality, palm oil communities are moving toward sustainable palm oil production through RSPO, IPOP, and all of this. Yeah. So I think this is a very important economic sector for Indonesia that we need also to make more sustainable. Sometimes, the problem that we have is that the unfortunate media, a negative media image on this. I'm not saying I'm pro palm oil, no, but I'm just saying that we need to move toward more sustainable palm oil production because millions of Indonesian farmers are depending on it as well. It is still called miracle oil. There is no other oil that can compete as we speak now with palm oils. We use various products from palm oils. Even if we go to shower, we use palm oil products, right? Even if we make up, we use palm oil products. Yeah. So I think, as I said earlier, in our strategy in Southeast Asia, we want to make rice agri-food system more profitable, meaning that it bring more money to people, it give more money to farmers. We have options to do that. There are a premium quality of rice where certain segment of market is willing to pay more because this rice is perhaps organics or because they have more nutritional values, but this segment of market will need to develop still further in the future. Okay, thank you. We cannot hear you, Dr. Melanie.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Pak Yurdi. Another interesting question comes from Mia Clarissa Dewi. Mia Clarissa, are you still here? Mia Clarissa, Mas Arif, bisa ketemu Mia Clarissa?
Yes, thank you.
All right, yeah. Please, Mia.
Okay, yes, thank you, Mr. Yurdi. My question just about the one of the challenges challenging about the rice food agri-food system, such as the climate change, COVID-19, urbanization, and resource degradation. And my question related to the COVID-19, how this pandemic is affecting rice-based agri-food system and what recently it does for solving this crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, Mia.
But Mia, this is a very important question and very timely. Yes, COVID-19 has affected rice agri-food system not only in Indonesia, but globally. Okay, I would like to give you some of the initial impacts of COVID-19 to the rice agri-food system. Okay. First, I already mentioned that there are delays in the logistical aspect of various things. First is delays in input. Input means like fertilizers, seeds, machineries, because of checkpoints. During the early stages of COVID-19, countries like the Philippines, Thailand, they enforce strict checkpoints. This had caused delay in terms of mobilizing these inputs from cities to the rural areas because they have to go through checkpoints. The impacts of these delays are in the cost and time of the truck drivers, for example, the inability of farmers to plant on times. In some worst case scenario, miss the planting season for that season in May, for example. Yeah? So that is one of the impacts. The second impact has been the labor itself. I give you an example. At the early, during March and May, about 80,000 of the Cambodian workers who work in Thailand return home. Yeah, they return home to Cambodia, coming back to their villages because of COVID-19. And rice agri-food systems in a country like Thailand relies heavily on migrant workers because many Thai people, first, they don't really work or they don't really want to work in these rice fields anymore because they have more competitive jobs, right? And you can imagine if large number of migrant workers left your countries, it will impact, the production, the agriculture productions, okay? So second is about the impacts of COVID on labor that has caused some panics, by government on how to ensure that rice production continues. Thailand cannot stop rice production. There are many countries who relies on Thai rice. Without Thai rice, they cannot survive, okay? So labor issue, number 2. Number 3, and this is very, very important, loss of jobs. Yeah, not necessarily those people who are only working on agriculture sectors, but in all sectors, both formal and informal. People who have lost their jobs, they return home to their villages. And what does it mean? First, they no longer able to send money back home to their villages. So this is the food security that they normally send money back to, okay? Second, they become a new burden to the rural, households. Third, unlike in the past, they are not ready to return back to agriculture. You might recall when we had global economic recession in 1997, 1998, many people returned to the village as well, and they became farmers, no problems. Yeah, but 20 years later now, situation has changed dramatically. Many of those people who lost their jobs in cities, they are not ready, to be farmers. First, they have no skills. Second, they are not used to be working in agriculture. So there are complex issues. So these are the 3 main, interrelated impacts of COVID-19 on rice agri-food system. But also, we have to remember that COVID, has moved from initially local health issue to global recession. Yeah? So the economic growth of many countries in the region has been revised downward. Yeah? So I give you an example. Indonesian economic growth was projected In April, and there was already pandemic, to be 2.5%. In June, it was revised into -1%. Okay, and then in September, it was revised again, -1%. So many of the countries now, their economic growth are projected to grow negatively, and this will impact agriculture sectors, industrial sectors, manufacturing sectors, etc. Why is that? Because there is this multiplier effects of the minus economic growth. And last but not least, I also would like to give some data to you. Southeast Asia is a region of, is a tourism region, is a global hotspot for tourism. Thailand in 2019 welcomed 36 million people to the country's tourists, to Bangkok, to Pattaya, to Chiang Mai, you name it, yeah. And they derive 91.5 billion US dollar from tourism. Can you imagine? 91.5 million US dollars. Now, the country is locked. No tourists are possible to come to Thailand. So this means a loss of a big revenue from tourism. Agriculture provides food to the tourists, right? If you eat in a street of Bangkok, let's say pad Thai. Pad Thai is fried noodles with tofu and eggs. The eggs producer in rural, village of Thailand will be impacted. If you are a taxi driver, you are impacted because there is no more people you will take, to different tourist spots. If you are a laundry business woman or man, you are affected. If you are working at a massage parlor, a Thai massage, you are affected. And I know this firsthand. So this is how, the impacts of COVID-19 has reached, almost all segments of our society, including the rice agri-food system. Okay. Next questions, if any.
Oh, quite a lot, Dr. Yurdi.
Okay. How much time do we have, Dr. Melanie?
We still have about 15 minutes.
Okay, okay, 15 minutes is fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay, I'll take Sri Lestari because Miss Wulan pressed me to to pick Sri Lestari's question. All right. Okay. So yeah, Sri Lestari.
Thank you, Ibu Melanie. Pak Yurdi, I have one question for you. In case of Indonesia, I know that maybe many people know that we clear forests for agricultural purposes, and as a forester, when I go to the field, I always say to the farmers that they have to plant trees as such, like by using agro forestry system, because sometimes they don't understand about the importance of this tree. So do you agree that actually agriculture contribute to the climate change? Because sometimes it's not only about the production process, but also because when we have to produce more rice, then some people have to open the forest, something like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Sri Lestari. Perhaps you know I'm also forester by training. It just happens in your career when you move into more management position. But anyway, what I'm saying is, when we talk about deforestation globally, agriculture is one of the main drivers of deforestation. Yeah. The way we produce food, where we produce food, how we produce food, actually deforestation historically. Yeah, I agree with you on this point. Okay, that agriculture production causes deforestation, and there is nobody will dispute this. Yeah, but we also have to remember the forestry world has significantly improved the global deforestation rate. Yeah, as we speak now, we are in the era of the lowest globally deforestation rate in the world. So there are some achievements that have been achieved, to reduce deforestation and forest degradation. Yeah. I would like to also applaud the governments of Indonesia, in this case, the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, for having, some tough policies on deforestation. One of which is the moratorium of new logging concessions, the moratorium of concession in peatlands areas. I think at the policy levels, the world know this. This is a good move, and we should be proud of this. Yeah. What often the case is the implementation of this policy is complex and difficult at local level. Okay. So that is the first one that I would like to highlight. Secondly, as your background shows, yeah, actually forest and agriculture should not go into conflict all the time. There are practices of agroforestry, and I would like you, and perhaps you know already, when I was at FAO regional office in Bangkok, when I was working at FAO, we work with ICRAF on the rice-based agroforestry systems. There are rice agroforestry systems in the region that have to be a good system, at the same time also to be proven as a good practice for our environment. What we need here is that to scale out and scale up these good practices. So my personal view is that it is not always the case that agriculture and forestry are in conflict. They can actually be, they can be in harmony. Yeah. And to do that, we need to plan at landscape level. So if Ministry of Agriculture can do this together, it is desirable. And one element of the regional program of ERI that I explained in my presentation is to reduce the environmental footprint of rice production. We want to put back, tree covers in the right place, in the rice landscape. When you put trees in the rice landscapes correctly, and knowing the local conditions like waters and everything, trees can bring, various nutritional benefits to the rice landscape. But you have to design it through scientifically proven research, because otherwise, if you have too many trees in the rice landscape, it can compete with the rice itself. So I hope, Ibu Sri, I have answered your questions, but otherwise I can clarify also. Thank you.
All right. So Ibu Sri already raised thumb, so it means okay, yeah? Okay, last question for this session, yeah? Okay, I'll see first because there is one new. Okay, Pratnya Paramita. This is the last question, last opportunity. Yeah. Pratnya Paramita, Mas Arief sudah bisa di-unmute?
Okay, thank you. Can you hear my voice, Miss Melanie? Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for Mr. Yudi. I am an agronomy and horticulture student, so I know the things about the rice. First of all, I want to ask about the fertilizer. Actually, the fertilizer is not efficient in the urea-based fertilizer. They just have 45% nitrogen on that. So actually, the fertilizer is not efficient for the cultivation. Does IRI have the solution for that? Because it impact for environment too. The second question is the program going beyond rice. You say that the technology can replace the traditional cultivation, but in Indonesia, the farmer have a lower educations. How IRI can solve them with the level education of the farmer in Indonesia? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Priyatna Pramita, for the question. Yes, you probably know there are global standards of usage of fertilizers, what are acceptable, for example, by the European Commissions, if you want to enter European markets, or other standards, right? Yes, IRI has extensive research on this. I would like to invite you to visit IRI's website, okay? I am actually not an agronomist, so I cannot answer this in detail, but I do have staff who if you are interested, who can probably direct you to this. But what IRIS is suggesting now, and this is what you can probably check, is the sustainable rice platform. It's called SRP. I don't know whether you have heard about this. If you are interested in rice, you cannot skip this. It's called Sustainable Rice Platform, SRPs. They have developed standards, criteria, and indicators for sustainable rice productions. One of which, relates to your question, to the use of fertilizer, how many, how much, things like this. Yeah. So please check on this. And IRI was actually behind the science of this standard of sustainable rice platform. Okay, now the use of technologies, oftentimes when we talk about technologies, people think about robots, and they think about, flying drones only. No, there are a wide range of technologies that could be beneficial for farming. Yeah. IRI has tested various technologies, for example, for the efficient use of waters, and they are very simple, using some tubes and some pipes and things like this. It can be done and it can save waters. And I would like you to check at IRI's website what we call alternative wetting and drying technologies. And this is a very simple technology. It's called AWD, yeah, alternate drying and wetting. IRI has also tested technology for planting, for planting rice automatically. It's called direct seeded rice. So instead of farmer planting it by themselves, that require a lot of labors and time, there are simple techniques and machines that can help farmers. IRI is at the moment also testing the use of drones for seedling. In one of my slides, I show this, and in fact, Bill Gates tested that on our field site, how the drone can help significantly direct seeded rice. There are many other technologies that are simple for farmers. So the principle of our research is also to produce technology that can be applied or used by farmers. Yeah? Certainly, there are technologies that farmers cannot use themselves, like drying technology. This will require specific, knowledge to operate, the cooling rooms and things like this. Yeah? But at the farm levels, rest assured that IRI is actually, before releasing the technology, are testing it in various, scenarios, including by involving farmers. Okay, I think that's from me, Dr. Melanie, unless if there is more burning question, I give it back to you.
Thank you, Pak Dr. Yurdi. I also want to congratulate and thanks to the participants who already raised some interesting questions, then also enrich our session today. And of course, we want to thank Pak Yurdi Asmi, Dr. Yurdi Asmi, for a very significant contribution for the summer course. Thank you. Applause for Pak Yurdi. All
Thank you so
right.
much. It has been a pleasure. And bye-bye.
Jangan ini ya Mas ya. Nanti tahun depan. Next year we will invite you to for the next.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sure.
Bye bye Pak Yurdi. Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay. Before we close, I want to announce that we have one reschedule for one session, one practice session. Yesterday, I announced that the explanation of the competition and the group task will be delivered by Thursday. It will be rescheduled earlier to Monday. Okay, so Monday you will have two sessions. The first session will be at 4:15 with Associate Professor Norsidaman from University of Putra Malaysia. Okay, and the second session will be in Indonesia time, is after Maghrib, about 6:30. Yes, 6:30 p.m. Pak Bahroin Tampu Bolon will deliver the structure and what will be expecting to you from you for entering the photo, vlog, and essay competition. So that's your group task, and also will be enter the competition that you will have to present at the closing day of this summer course. Yeah, it will be Monday, not Thursday. Okay, it's rescheduled to Monday. I will resend to you the updated rundown. Okay, that's one. And then the second one is this morning we already listened to Associate Professor Dr. Zulfan Tajuddin's session about learning journal. Again, I want to stress that don't make it too far. Okay, this is not thesis. This is not doing writing research report. Okay, yeah. I think Dr. Zulfan has already explained it to you. Even if you write the very simple stage of learning journal, as Dr. Zulfan said, the summary of the session that you listen that day, it's all right. Okay, it's all right. And then our marking standard is not, of course, not as strict as Dr. Zulfan's standard. So if you only do this summary of what you learned today, is also okay. And then your mark is not only 60. Yeah, we will give you 70 for that. But if you can go beyond that, if you can go further, if you can make reflection, you can write reflection, your own opinion for that, it will be better, and then you will get a higher mark. All right. And then we also consider your, I know you are students and some of you are professionals. We considering to reduce the load for this learning journal. So for the 100%, we reduce it to 15 entries. Okay. So for students and professionals who can't fulfill the minimum attendance of 80%, yeah, you are only required to make entry for learning journal 12. Okay, sorry, not 12, 11, just 11. But for the no, this sorry, this is the opposite. So for you who can't attend for 80% minimum attendance, you are required to do entry for learning journals of 15 rather than 17. Okay, and for you who can do this 80% attendance, you are only required to do learning journal 11 entries. Okay, yeah, I hope that's good enough for you. And please don't see this learning journal task as your load work, because this is the opportunity for you to enhance, to improve your writing skill. So that's also our target for this summer course. Yeah, you try to improve your writing skill, because you will need it in every stage of your life. This writing skill also in your work life later on after you graduate from the university. Yeah, so use it as opportunity to enhance your writing skill. Yeah, all right, okay. Thank you so much for today. And then tomorrow, don't forget to fill in the attendance form. Please use this opportunity to fill in the attendance form for you who didn't do that. And don't forget to attend the tomorrow session, which will be start at 11. Yeah, the session will be started at 11, and then the registration will be open since 10:45. Our first session will be delivered by adjunct Professor Christopher Bennett from Canada. So he will lecture us from Canada. 15 hours behind Jakarta, okay, yeah. So tomorrow morning in Jakarta will be at night in Canada. And the second session will be delivered by Professor Dr. Dodi Nurrahmat, who is the Vice Rector of IPB University. Okay, so you will have another interesting session tomorrow. Okay, so have a nice weekend. We will have busy weekend and we will have busy 2 weeks, but still you do this in full spirit. Stay safe and stay healthy. All right, bye-bye everybody. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Mas Arief, thank you. Mas Arief, besok lagi seperti biasa, seperti hari ini ya.